Thanks so much, Professor Smith. Yes, that was terrific. And now I'd like to introduce Jake Edwards, who will help us understand this much better. Jake.
Swagwegi. I will get you on Giastania, Unudak Gane Tona, Ukundena. Okay, say it. Yeah. An English name, my name's Jake Edwards. My Indian name is Hiwagaiti. I'm of the Eel clan here at Onondaga. And the story that you've been hearing about Sullivan-Clinton campaign is true genocide. False reporting of true genocide. It's to persuade young Americans, colonizers' minds to make them feel comfortable in a land that does not belong to them. We're not looking for any kind of evictions or anything like that. We understand in all reality we must now live peacefully together. But this campaign of genocide against my people, it's hard to listen to again. It's hard to listen to it from a non-Indigenous person's writings, because our elders passed down from generations that witnessed it tell it a different story. And I'll start off with some of those people that were in that militia, in that campaign, didn't even want to be there. Some of them people that were carrying out the orders did not want to do what they were instructed to do. We don't know that side of what would happen to them if they refused, but there was over 5,000 of these white guys coming through the forest, led by some drunken Indians as scouts. There's a lot of times you don't see this written or talked about as far as how much rum was involved with all of these decisions, whether it was the colonels, Sullivan himself, George Washington himself, all influenced with a mind-twisting rum of alcohol in their decision-making. That in itself right there starts off with there's going to be no good decisions made under that influence. The people of the Longhouse, we always talk of the good mind. We've been terrorized, humiliated, raped, murdered, persecuted, all of that stuff. And you know, we still have gratitude for our forest, for our Mother Earth, for the plants. You hear about reestablishing gardens right away. When we hid as people from these invaders, our elders used to tell us exactly where they hid, their hiding spots, and what they had with them. And it was just like our creation story of the Sky Woman bringing down what she planted, the three sisters. When they took off running, they grabbed beans and corn and squash seeds and hid with them. Right over there, right over that hill. When our people hid from these invading people, soldiers they're called, We were running to the Cayugas, see if they can help. We got a runner come met us and told us the same thing is happening over there. It's a pandemic in Haudenosaunee territory. Pandemic of genocide. So when we hear about this Sullivan campaign, you hear about these people want to take bus tours and celebrate all this goodness of Sullivan's expedition for the American people. There's a whole bunch of American people that were against it. There's still some people, to this day, Americans, who still would want to honor their forefathers' word of peace. And there's people of the Haudenosaunee that we don't give that up. We know that's a part of us. That's in us. That's in our DNA as peoples of the Haudenosaunee. That we maintain peace in the best way that we know how with what we have each and every day. Through wartime, we still carry on ceremony for the goodness of the plant life, the medicines, the animals that run about. We keep them in our minds and in our hearts. We keep the original instructions with us as we walk about, as we run and hide. We ran and hid from those guys. We ran and hid from boarding schools. We ran away from boarding schools too. My grandmother was helped away from a boarding school in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and brought back to Buffalo Creek. Went and settled got some shelter at Tuscarora, not far, and then was transported back here to Onondaga. We talk about those treaties, Buffalo Creek Treaty, and there was a couple of them. We should be talking about the fairness of our survival as Unkwehoe people here, as Indigenous people, Haudenosaunee people. We don't look for, what's that word, commemorative? We don't look for that kind of stuff, that we survived. We feel it in our hearts and in our minds every day. And we give thanks. Then we go deal with some of the problems that were put to us. But we do that first with our connection to our Mother Earth and all that was given to us. Then we carry on. We can't leave them out because we're getting brutalized by America. We can't leave out the wildlife. They're getting brutalized too. There's comfort in knowing that to this day, they still carry on their duties. And to this day, so do we. They're not going anywheres. And we're not going anywheres. As long as we stay as one. We come together as one. In our goodness, in our thoughts, in our teachings, we pass on and we obtain more from the plant life as long as we pay attention. So when you talk about the destructions, the mass destructions of the Sullivan-Clinton campaign, it's a horrific thought. It hits real deep. But I give gratitude to my ancestors who helped us to be here today. We have this spot. I know where that hiding spot is. I'm not going to tell everybody though. Might come back. So we took some youth up to that spot this past year to explain to them Sullivan's campaign. And it was around the 4th of July, and By golly, I gotta tell you, that's a scary thought when you hear all that celebration going on outside of us here. The fireworks, the big bangs. It just puts your mind into cannonballs and black powder guns coming after you on your own living room floor, the woodlands. As my grandmother was interpreting the oral teachings of her great grandmother, who ran up alongside Onondaga Creek right out here and took off over that way. She tells us about that, what her great grandmother told her, what she did and where she hid. And my uncle, he showed me where it was. He said, "Take me for a ride, I'll show you where it is." So we went up there and he showed me. He didn't get out, he was too old to get out and walk them cliffs. Oh, here he is right here. This guy right here showed me. And to listen to these elder stories, we hear about the locusts and the message they brought us from the earth, a reminder to us at that starving time to have gratitude for what Mother Earth still provides for us through that hard time. To share gratitude is powerful, very powerful. It's not something you can read in a book, somebody's journal. In those oral teachings, we hear we're not to trust the white man and not to be with that person alone. You take always two. And so that you can watch over that shoulder, watch his back, and you can watch over your shoulder and watch your back as you're talking to a guy who appears to be trustworthy and friendly, like the Dutch did to us. What Columbus's crew did everywhere they landed. They have instructions from their church to subdue and enslave us. And they carried those teachings into the next centuries, Oh, wait a minute, where are we now? 2020, and Washington down there is doing about the same thing today to the indigenous people looking for fresh drinking water on the southern border of what they call the United States. It's going on today. So one of our messages to the world is to understand truth in the history of America, understand truth in the survival of the indigenous people, and understand that you don't teach your children untruth because they grow up living in a world of untruth. And so we have to teach what's here. And when you look outside first thing in the morning, what's here is the sun, the new day. And so you share gratitude for that, for seeing that. You see the forest and you hear the birds. Even in the winter time, they're not just spring songbirds. And you give gratitude for the snow and the rains and the thunder beings for carrying on their duties. America needs a strong lesson on honest teachings, because what provides information is this mechanism of what they call education, higher education. We know professors from all over the place teaching And some are teaching Indigenous studies and learning. Everybody's always learning. It's a given. We all are. We learn something every day, or we should be. And so these professors are coming back and telling us that these people don't know that we even exist. And it's kind of funny because our neighbors just down the road in the next town, they didn't know we were still here. They thought Indians were out west, Western Indians, going by the John Wayne shows and all that stereotype of big headdress and colonizing effects of the modern Indian as portrayed by the newspapers and the articles. And so we have a lot of work to do, and I'm glad to see this information getting out and not getting out as the truth of what happened. The Onondagas were never conquered. You cannot conquer a neutral nation, peaceful nation. Those are called massacres. Invasions and massacres. They document it as battles. They call them battles. Not a battle. You got families sleeping comfortably and you wipe them out. You just won a battle? Come on. Let's teach the truth here and explain to America what genocide is and how America became what it became because of the teachings of the Haudenosaunee, visions and teachings of the great law of peace. And how do we conduct ourselves when we greet somebody? When we greet somebody, we don't know what they've been through. So we brush them down, clear their throat, wipe their eyes, clear their ears so they can hear. Then we sit and talk with them. So now they got clear voice from the dust in their travels, perhaps. We lift them up in their seats. We offer them a seat and lift them up. We clear off any of the stuff that they may be dealing with, a death in their family, a sickness in their family. Today, by golly, that pandemic going around, there's a lot of clearings got to happen. And so we conduct ourselves in that way, and we still do. And we have a New York State Assembly at one time, I'm not sure of the year, but there was this fellow by the name of James Dewayne, or Dwayne James. But he had two names for both of his front and last name. And he was either working for the State Assembly under George Clinton, or thereabouts after. And he suggested to the people of New York State to stop treating the Indians as if they're nations and stop accepting their rituals before a meeting. Don't let them conduct themselves with what we do and what we have been doing with the Ganohanyo, the Thanksgiving address, the words before all else, sometimes it's called that. And we would do that at every meeting with the people of New York, with the colonizers, wherever they were from, the people of Maryland, the people of Virginia. When you heard earlier today about how far the influence of the Haudenosaunee went, you can look at where the maple tree grows, how far south, how far west, how far north. And also, how far does the great white pine tree grow? That's the influence of how far we pass the message of peace on. So when you hear about Treaty of Lancaster, say in 1744, about land in Virginia, the treaty was here in Pennsylvania. We were the prime delegates. Besides the governors of Virginia and Maryland, they were giving us wampum to maintain peace as they were slowly encroaching. And some of our people didn't like it. And so they were saying that we violated the treaty in the mountains of Virginia. It wasn't that we violated the treaty, it was we were being encroached on and people were stealing from us. And we sent them back to wherever they're supposed to be safe, Jamestown or these little towns down there. The history's not reporting all those thieveries that's been going on. And so we got to maintain the facts of what these people are reporting in their history books. You know, you come up to 1924 and you talk about the land claims and Edward Everett and all that. That was good. Edward Everett came here to Onondaga and he explained that. And what he offered was, after his explanation of this land is rightfully yours, he says, we can make it right and sell it properly. And Onondaga people at that time told him, he said, we already know that's our land. What you're telling us, we already know that. And it's still not for sale. So he wanted us to side with him and present it to a court to clarify title so that we could properly sell it to New York State, legally sell it. And we told him no. And so we moved on. And the other part of that you hear about, I think Andrea mentioned about citizenship. In 1924, U.S. passed Citizenship Act for those who apply. Well, not too many people applied to be citizens of the United States as far as indigenous peoples. And that's what it was directed at. And so, and I think it was 1925, they resubmitted that and passed it as a blanket that made all Indians citizens. So here at Onondaga, we drafted up and sent a letter to President Calvin Coolidge at that time and explained to them that who we are. This is who we are. This is who we remain to be. So it was basically a thank you, but no thank you letter. We'll maintain our own citizenship. And some of the reasons of that was we looked at the treaties, and we heard that discussion earlier too about the treaties. And we wouldn't participate in certain events of celebrating Sullivan. It's because we had land rights and we got treaties. We have reasons. But there was some of us that did go along with it because some of us are fresh out of boarding schools and their colonized teachings is telling them that in order for you to survive here, you have to have this type of education. You have to drop your pagan ways and move on this way. That's why you see them with their suits and ties on now and the big top hats and so forth in that era. Everybody was leaning that way in order to fit in so we don't get brutalized again. Because our parents did get brutalized in school for speaking language. We know that story. We heard that story. We heard it from actual people, not somebody written. Our relatives. You can put your hands on a desk and they get smacked by a yardstick. And worse. And that's right here, Onondaga County. Those are regular schools. We don't want to get into the terribleness of the boarding schools. And you hear about the white guys taking their side of the Americans and saying that, well, we gave you land, we give you health, we give you education, we give you everything you got. You didn't. You give us hardship. We maintained our land. You can't give me what's already mine, because we never gave you plenary power over us. We never gave our power for you to decide what happens to us over us. So now you look back at the United States and New York State. The United States is now formed. They're arguing with New York State. Tug of war, like paperwork. They're getting fierce to each other, these white guys are, because they're arguing whose Indians we are. New York State always claimed we're New York State's Indians. United States said we own all the Indians, they're ours. These are arguments. Probably drunken arguments, because every meetings they had rum there with them. They got a lot of our people influenced to it. And that's a sad thing, to use that as a weapon. Weapon of war. Chemical weapon. And so today, even as I was a youngster, you hear about that chemicals. We nickname hard cider chemicals, because it has the effect of that. It changes your mind. Degatniguhadeños is your mind isn't, you got two different, your mind's not right under the influence. So you can't make good decisions. You can't make good decisions for your children, for what's cooking on the fire. You burn it. Degatniguhadeños is alcohol, but the mind changer. That's how you translate it in English, the mind changer. And when you look at these treaty supplies sent by Washington or sent by Albany, depending on who's making the treaty, sent by the land speculators, the biggest commodity is rum. Or one of the biggest commodities are rum. They knew the weapon to use. And our elders used to tell us that these treaties, these land talks and so forth, was the guys that were sitting there, our people that were sitting there, knew that can't be right. You have a white man come into the community and then he appoints 60 new leaders, 60 chiefs of one nation to sign off on land. And so these guys are all tipping up that rum, having a good old time. Sure, I'll sign it. Yeah, I'm a chief now, I'll sign right here. And so they did that. Those are fraudulent transactions. Chiefs appointed by a white colonel. That's kind of funny, really. But it's not, because New York State stood by that. They stood by that to this day. They know they're fraudulent, their actions, so why don't they tell the truth? So with re-educating the people throughout the web, we'll get some good-minded, good-hearted people to do that work for them and put that education in front of them. And they have to understand that you can't live by wrong actions and enforce wrong actions to teach the children. Because in our teachings, we always carry on that the decisions that you make today are to no way negatively affect 7 generations coming. As individuals, we make that rule applies to us too, not just government leaders, not just council. It applies to each and every one of us, and the decisions that we make today should no way harm our future generations coming. And so when you look back and you put rum into all of this, you know right away you're not going to make a good decision. You know that. It's hurtful to see this army tactics of genocide enforced by the US. Very, very hurtful. And to see that people that are still living in this racism and supremacy actions across just this little town of Onondaga, still got it here. Town of Lafayette, our neighbors all the way around us. Supremacy. Because of what they were taught. Just a real quick history of what they're taught is Santa Claus gonna come down that chimney and bring you gifts if you behave. What a lie. What a lie. And so the siblings become older, and the older sibling now tells the younger sibling, Mommy and Daddy buy those gifts. There's no Santa Claus. Oh, the little kid gets so heartbroken and crying. The older person gets whipped and punished for telling the truth. You just ruined your younger brother's Christmas by telling him that. So sometimes the truth hurts. But you know, that child will never forget that growing up, that there is no Santa Claus. No matter what the department store or the industry out there, corporations promote, there is no big fat man coming down your chimney. And you're also teaching the kids destruction because you go out into the forest and you chop down a tree. Perfectly innocent tree. Drag it in your house. Heat it up when it's not supposed to be heated up, decorate it and pollute it and contaminate, and then throw it to the curb when you're done with Christmas. So this stuff reaches the environmental impact also. Look how many Christmas trees are cut down every single year. So there's people, environmentalists, are changing that. Corporations are changing that. They're bringing in toxic materials that you can store in your attic when you don't need it. So there's a lot of teachings that have to be constructed in a manner of honesty. We're here together. We're not looking for a division. The people of the Haudenosaunee will carry that message of peace forever, as long as our Mother Earth provides for us. She has her instructions. We have our original instructions. And in our hearts and in our minds, we maintain that balance with each other. We have a lot of obstacles blowing in the wind, but we maintain that balance as one. And so there's a term that we use in all our discussions is Scada and Dewayne noñh, o dietino hanyo. Whatever we're talking about. We bundle up our thoughts as one, all in one bundle, and we give a great gratitude. No matter what it is, it's Mother Earth, it's the waters, it's the plants, it's the medicines, the stars, the moon, the sun, the animals, the birds, the 4 messengers, above keep our thoughts in the right way and remind us. That's one of their responsibilities, to remind us. Make good decision. Show gratitude. Even during hard times, thank them for what they've done. Those people that are doing the genocide, thank them. You don't put them on a pedestal. You don't make stone monuments of them. You do the right thing and remove all of those monuments and put the truth there. And the truth is, put the indigenous peoples back at their home and allow it to be. So we gather our mind as one and we think that way. Whatever we put our minds to, we can accomplish. And so, there's so much that has to be discussed. There was so much that's left out. We only have a short time in this day to work on 200, 250 years, 500 years of wrongdoings, and we try to correct it in 20 minutes. This is just the start. And so we look forward to working with all to accomplish peace and contentment here on Mother Earth as we walk about. And so we bundle our thoughts, we gather our thoughts as one, and we give a gratitude for this day, for the nourishments that were provided for us, for the songbirds that carry on their duties and so forth, and that we will work together to make this place that we call home comfortable for anybody that comes in our woods. Here at Onondaga, we maintain our peace. We maintain kindness at going to the best that we can. Donato.